7 ancient cars still produced today. Over the past century, constant evolution has been the key to survival for pretty much every car company. With evolutions in design, technology, and safety, and models being annually changed and upgraded, it can be hard to keep up. Strangely, some manufacturers get it so right with certain cars that they just keep making them, surviving with nothing but minor technical and cosmetic changes. Number 1. Land Rover Defender. Despite being due for replacement in 2018, not including the Defender would be simply wrong. With underpinnings dating back from the 1940s, the Defender was officially launched in 1983. Although new, it wasn't extremely different from its predecessor, the Series 3. In 2016, with 33 years under its belt, the Defender was officially cut, mainly due to safety and handling reasons. The Defender is still so popular, however, that values have recently started to rise on nearly new models for this exact reason. If you want a tough and rugged vehicle that's appreciating in value, this is your car. Number 2. Suzuki Jimny. Strictly speaking, the Suzuki Jimny can trace its roots back to 1968, continuing on through the Suzuki Samurai of the 80s and 90s. To be fair to this list, however, the current Jimny model has been on sale brand new since 1998, 19 years so far. Despite being very dated inside, with poor handling and ride comfort, trust me, I've learned to drive in this car, the Jimny is still a very capable off-roader. There have been a few mild facelifts with buttons instead of levers to engage low-range and four-wheel drive, airbags and sat-nav added. But still, I can't help but wonder, how long can this car survive Western markets in today's age? No doubt it will continue selling in other markets for years to come. Number 3. Mercedes-Benz G-WAGON. As the maker of the first patented automobile, Mercedes-Benz has always been known for two things: evolution and progress. There's one car, however, that is an exception to that rule, the Mercedes-Benz G-Class. This rugged body-on-chassis off-roader started its life in 1979 as a purely utilitarian vehicle designed for military use. Little did Mercedes know that it would be still in production almost 40 years later. Instead of being replaced by something newer and better, it just continued being churned out of the factory, bizarrely as a luxurious SUV. Truth be told, the boxy Benz has endured a lot of changes over the years, with a crazy V8-engined AMG version, improved interiors, and a completely different brand image, but the basic car from 1979 still remains underneath. Some journalists criticize it for being old-fashioned to drive, but to be honest, it is ancient, so no surprises there. Number 4. Lada Niva. Although unplanned, this list strangely consists of a lot of 4x4 vehicles. Perhaps it's their rugged toughness that customers love rather than their modern features that road cars need. The Lada 4x4, formerly known as the Lada Niva, is no different. The 4x4 was the first model to be designed and constructed without the help from Fiat, and it was the Soviet Union's vision of an SUV. The development of this model began in 1971, and the production model came in 1977, bearing the VAZ2121 name. Since then, the Niva has been produced in many different versions and with numerous updates, but the basic shape and technology have been exactly the same for 40 years. The Niva's basic reliability, strong off-road performance, and easy-to-fix nature made it very popular. Although discontinued in a lot of markets, the Niva continues to be sold new in a lot of European and Asian markets, looking more or less like the original 1977 model. Number 5. Peugeot 405. Nowadays, we often think of Peugeot as being slightly boring and unreliable cars, especially not something us car guys would be interested in. In the past, however, that simply wasn't the case. Ever since the legendary 404 sedans of the 60s, Peugeot has had a fruitful relationship with African countries where its models were license-built for years, even decades after the original cars stopped being produced in native France. The 405 sedan was introduced in 1987, but it was discontinued just 10 years later in 1997. It sold so well, however, that since 1995 it has continued to be sold under license by two third-party companies, Iranian Iran Khodro and Egyptian Wagi Abaza. Although the underpinnings are the same, I think it's fair to say they made the appearance look much, much worse. Still, with the original being designed by Pininfarina, it's going to be hard to improve. Old Peugeots, Mercedes, and Land Cruisers seem to be the reliability choices for countries with more no-nonsense needs, shall we say. Number 6. Lotus Super 7. You may not recognize the name Lotus 7, but what if I told you it's basically a CATERHAM? First produced in 1953 by the famous racing constructor and Formula One visionary Colin Chapman, the 7 was conceived as a lightweight and simple sports car, with tubular chassis and minimal bodywork. In 1973, the production of the Lotus 7 stopped, but in the same year, the production rights were bought by another UK-based company called CATERHAM. Since then, the company has continued building these amazing sports cars, using mostly Ford and Rover-derived hardware. In Caterham's hands, the Lotus 7 has become a platform for many extreme evolutions that often offer supercar-beating performance. Still, a platform that's still being built and sold after so long is astonishing. Number 7. Morgan 4.4. If you're a car guy, you will be sure to have heard of Morgan. What you may not know, however, is that their 4.4 has been in production since 1955, 62 years. Sure, the back-to-basics sports car has had a lot of changes over the years, for example, the introduction of a Ford Sigma engine and a Mazda gearbox, but looks-wise, it's almost identical to the car that rolled off the production lines just 10 years after the end of World War II. Morgan have always been famous for their traditional coach-building and handmade crafts, but I wonder how many people you could fool that your one-year-old car was a classic. So there you are, 7 ancient cars still produced today. Which cars did I miss? Comment below and I'll reply back to you in the first 24 hours. And as always, thanks for watching. Cheers!